Okay, so this is already my favorite episode because I got the pretty sweet opportunity of checking out the in-person Bleav studios here in Los Angeles for the first time. I got a guest with me. He's here all the time. He's a host on the Charity Stripe podcast. By the way, one of my favorite social media accounts is the Charity Stripe. You got a bunch of good Instagram polls, great Twitter content. You guys are always on it. This is Josh Fisher. I know it's a little bit of a last minute arrangement we got going, so thanks for being here, man.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you like the Instagram we run, and yes, I'm here all the time because I also work at Bleav.
Yes,
I am not here against my will. Blink twice if you need help. And yeah, man, I'm glad this is your favorite episode. I will do my best to make it absolutely miserable for you. So,
good.
Thank you for having me on. Excited to talk hoops with you.
I'm excited to get hazed here in Los Angeles. So we just had the All-Star break.
Yeah.
How'd you enjoy it? I mean, did you spend a lot of time watching the festivities, or was this just a good chance to get some downtime for you?
Downtime for sure. The thing is I've never been a game, the All-Star game for baseball, Pro Bowl. I've never been one to really watch the game and lock in for it. So everyone talking about, oh, there's no defense. Well, yes, that's an issue. And I'd love to see, and that's like a whole separate, tangent we can get in on like effort for players. For me, I love the home run derby. I love the 3-point contest. The skills thing I enjoy very much. It's gotten really weird. And the dunk contest is something I love, and it's completely gone from when we were kids. Blake Griffin jumping over a nice family sedan, Dwight Howard, Nate Robinson, like household names. And Mac McClung is a household name because we're young and we're into social media.
Yeah.
And you talk about a great guy that runs, amazing social media and has one of the forefront brand awareness kind of guys. He's done a number on like making him the in-game, like, the white guy dunk guy. And
right.
So he's got a huge brand himself. So he's one guy that people know. But outside of that, the dunk contest was just lower level guy. And I love Jericho Sims. He's a Texas Longhorn guy. Troy Murphy is a nice young player. Kenyon Martin Jr., also a nice young player and famous dad. But like Ja Morant was like, yeah, I need 1 billion likes. LeBron has never done it. There's got Giannis doesn't do it, and it's kind of frustrating to see these superstars. And Stephen A, I'm not saying I agree with him every time he steps up to the mic, but I was really aligned with him in his most recent take on LeBron. Like, he sets the tone. He's never done it. You know what I'm saying? So we don't have these superstars doing the dunk contest anymore. Like the Aaron Gordon, Zach LaVine. I was like, dude, Obama was president. I honestly wasn't, or almost done, or was Trump. It's like 2 presidencies ago. So it's like we can't keep talking about this. It's like you bring up the Texas Longhorn. Before we started the Texas Longhorns, like they show Vince Young running for the corner against USC before every football game. It's like, dude, I was literally in elementary school.
Yeah,
and I've graduated college tenfold twice already. 2 times through. So there's only so much we can keep watching Vince Carter highlights. Like we as the fans and media deserve more, and we deserve a better dunk contest.
So speaking of guys that I don't always agree with, you said Stephen A. I actually think Kendrick Perkins fits right into that mix for me. I don't dislike Kendrick Perkins as a figure, but I just don't always agree with the things that come out of his mouth.
Sure.
He did have one idea though that I thought was pretty interesting regarding the dunk contest, which was getting guys who are kind of local pickup legends, or essentially people off the street, to go and perform, because they would try, they'd care, they'd be motivated for the recognition, the money potentially. Does that idea at all appeal to you, or are you just like, no, I want my Ja Morant, I want my Zion Williamson, it's got to be the biggest names in basketball?
I wouldn't dislike it at all if like professional street dunkers did it. Because again, like you're saying, they'd care, it'd be good. They put on a good show. They're professional dunkers. That's what they do for a living. I would love it though if they were like, okay, if we had 4 dunkers off the street and we paired them with 4 top tier dunkers in the NBA, and it was like a team thing. Like that's like to me a good idea, But you need the stars. Like I'm looking at the ESPN page like right now. Paul George, Russell Westbrook, these guys. How amazing would they have been in the dunk contest? And we never got to see anything like that from them, and never will. Like it's over for them in the dunk contest. They're not going to come back and do it.
No.
But these young guys that are, in the like Jaden Ivey, like he would have been awesome to do it.
Yeah.
He's if I'm him, I'm like, all right, well, Zion didn't do it, Ja didn't do it. Why would I do this?
Yeah.
If these other guys that have come before me are not doing it, then I'm not going to do it either. Now, Zion has come out and said that if there was a year for him to do it, he'll do it next year. But,
yeah, it's a long way away.
Long way away. He's got to play, know, and he may be in a position to be doing it for just to kind of like a rebrand, because now he's slowly entering Greg Oden territory. He just is.
Yeah, which is sad because he was an all-star starter, and that was strictly off the basis of when he played, he was so dominant, and he was the guy that was clearly the consensus number one pick coming out of Duke. It's hard for him when you don't really see a lot of continuity, and I think it's starting to hurt the Pelicans. I do think they did a great job managing their injury cycle. Brandon Ingram was out a long time. Zion was out. But then they had a 10-game losing streak or something really bad. And even the best coach teams with the best leadership and a guy like CJ McCollum, eventually it's going to catch up to you. I do want to talk.
There's so many teams starting. Yeah, there's just like teams in the NBA. Like you go through it. Okay, maybe the Spurs stink. The Rockets are kind of garbage. The Pistons don't play any defense. It's like that. That's like an all-star game every night, But you go and play the Magic.
Yeah,
it's not an easy game.
No,
they're not good. But that's not an easy game. They have they run a lineup of 9 guys, 10 guys that are all pros. We have Rudy Gay on our network, and he's like, everyone thought the Jazz were going to stink, and maybe our rosters, not elite, but these are 10 pros,
right?
These are this is a roster of pros. So if you're the Pelicans and you're wading through these injuries, you're going to run into these 10-game stretches where you're going against teams may not be like Celtics, Bucks, the gauntlet. But if you're going Celtics, you're going Bucks, and you go play the Lakers who don't have a good record, that's a tough game. You go play Portland. That's in Portland, it's not an easy game. You go on the road, you go to the Garden, you play the net. There's tough games across the NBA. There's a lot of talent.
OKC's been the best team against the spread because they've surprised, and SGA has risen to superstardom.
Not an easy game.
Not an easy game.
They're not a playoff team. That's not an easy game. So there's a lot of tough games, and just a button on the Zion thing. You always root for a guy to be healthy. You always root for a guy to be at his best. But you say it was a gimme for probably 99.9% of the public to take him first overall. Not for me. I thought he should not have been the first overall pick when he was taken. Granted, the guy I thought should have been the first overall pick. Also, I have not hit. It wasn't Ja. It was RJ.
Okay.
But to me, and I've also been in the recent, this past year, I've been like, RJ Barrett should be on the Utah Jazz because Spider Mitchell should be on the Knicks. I've come out and said that. But I felt as if Zion was a risk, and that's just true. You can't hang your hat on a guy that plays 40, 50 games a year.
No, not at all. And I think that's actually the perfect transition into this next point, because not necessarily for injury purposes, but Kyrie Irving is a guy that has been a little bit inconsistent with off the court matters or not playing a lot of games. Sometimes it's injuries, sometimes it's other things, but
Judaism.
Judaism. Yeah. The Mavericks was definitely gonna go deep into this with Alex Tosopoulos.
Yeah,
who is unfortunately sick. He has to be on the bench today.
Black lung pop.
Got a little bit of the Super Bowl illness going around, but he's a big fan of the Mavs. And I asked him about the Kyrie trade. Said it was a mixed bag of emotions. I think nobody's surprised to see what we've seen on the court. Kyrie Irving scored 26 points in the fourth quarter. They're faster. They're more fun. It's electric. There's always the risk of the other shoe to drop. Look, I guess just sticking strictly to basketball and on the court matters. Do you think this pairing is beneficial for Luka's career? Because he's only 23, or maybe he's about to turn 24, and he's playing with another big-time star. Probably won't have the ball in his hands as much.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
If he's playing as Kyrie Irving, a top 15 player in the league.
Yes.
Okay. So, yes, you need that. You can't win the ultimately, the goal is, and I know we're going to talk about Jokic, so I won't, just bleed that out too early. But ultimately, the goal is winning. Giannis is regarded where he is, not just in today's game, but maybe, yes, in today's game, but also all time. And he's mentioned with these grades because he won. He did it. He won. He got a ring, right? Tatum is not like there yet because he doesn't have a ring. Luka, there's no way on God's green earth. Like, look, Kyrie do something crazy in the next 2 weeks, and I'll be here like, yeah, okay. Like, we'll all be like, all right, like, yeah, we know. We've seen this before. Sure. But if Kyrie doesn't do anything, it's the best chance he's had to win since he's entered the league.
Yeah.
He wasn't doing this with Dinwiddie.
No.
Joe Smith. Like, that wasn't going to happen. Like, you need 2 elite players to win the NBA championship. You do. Like, you cannot show me. And if you're like, oh, well, Giannis he had Middleton, he had Drew Holiday, and quite frankly, yeah, I am a Celtics fan. If he had Middleton last year, we would not have gone to the finals. It would have been the Bucks Warriors. Yeah. It would have been Giannis versus Steph. Realistically, like like Middleton hasn't played. Well, Drew Holiday's played, or maybe his best basketball. Yeah, this season.
Very well deserved All-Star.
Very well deserved All-Star.
I'm sitting there when he had 40 something the other night, and I'm thinking, even now that he got the All-Star recognition, like this guy still might be a little underrated.
I put out a poll. I was like, this guy's on our Instagram. I was like, is he the most underrated player in the league? Because he is. He's the most underappreciated superstar, without a doubt, a top 25 player, great on both ends of the court. And yes, that's a duo. Like, you go through the league, say what you will about Harden. Everyone hates James Harden. People hate his game. People he's probably the most disrespected player in the league, along with Russell Westbrook. Beyond disrespected James Harden, could have easily been an all-star this year. That's a duo. The Celtics, like, Luka didn't have that. Like, I don't know if Jokic has that. I don't know if he has that with Murray. The Suns are a gruesome team. Like, Luka had no chance of going against the Suns this year. Like, it was a miracle. He beat them a miracle. A Chris Paul choke job. Like, a choke job beyond choke job. Like, that's not, they were 2-0? Like, they should have waltzed past the Mavs last year.
I was really surprised when it got to 2-2.
I was surprised it went to game 7. It was ridiculous on paper that went to game 7, let alone they lost. There's no way that say what you will about Kevin Durant joining the Warriors super team. Like, the Warriors could have flopped with Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
And he just made it an absolute cement that they were going to win the title. There was no chance anyone else had.
Yeah.
And if he's, again, another guy, doesn't play that much. And if Kevin Durant is playing with Booker, with Paul, with Ayton, they added Terrence Ross. Like, they have, like, and again, another guy that can get you 10 points, like, off the bench. They're not completely depleted after that KD trade off the bench. And if he goes down, which, again, this is, barring that he doesn't, this whole hypothesis, then they need Kyrie on Dallas. Like, they cannot win without him. It's impossible. So, yes, this is amazing for Luka's career. Do they re-sign him? I don't know. Does he do something crazy on Instagram? I don't know. Does he say not only the world is flat, but also inverted? I don't know. He could do all these things. He could say that he has an alien in the trunk of his car and he's had it there since 2016.
Yeah.
And it doesn't need oxygen. I don't know what this guy can say next. But as long as Kyrie Irving is on the court, he's a top 15 player in the league. And if you have 2 top 15 players in the league, you have a chance to win the NBA championship. I'm not saying they're going to, but you have a chance to win a tough West.
Yeah.
Probably a better duo than anything Memphis has. Better than Sacktown, which wasn't the case.
Yeah. So. Okay. I like it. Kyrie, they're currently the 6th seed in the West, but there's also a 3.5 game separation between seeds 4 and 12. So I don't really like all the seeds talk. I mean, it's going to be a battle till the bitter end of the regular season in April. So let's talk about 2 teams in this local market. That's the Clippers and the Lakers. The Lakers got D'Angelo Russell back. The Clippers are starting to round into form because they're not playing back-to-backs, and Kawhi and Paul George are actually out there together, which feels like we've hardly seen in 3 years, and it's ridiculous. The other day, Paul George said that a championship with the Clippers will 100% outweigh a championship being with the Lakers. Do you at all buy that statement?
It's moronic.
Yeah.
Well, wait. Sorry, before I say it's it means more to him or means more to like the NBA universe?
The NBA universe.
No, because nobody. I walk for days. Walk around every area of Los Angeles County. If you see more than 5 people, we have Joe right there. He's the only person I've seen in Clippers gear since I've been here. I've been here 6 years. Yeah, except for when I go to the games.
Yeah.
Go walk around every area of LA. Walk around for 2 days, 3 days. If you see more than 10 people with Clippers gear, I'll pay you $200.
Well, I think the funny thing is
no limit to how many people I'd pay. Like that, there's no way. No one cares about them. Like
I'm thinking maybe from a pure storyline perspective alone of just, oh, the Clippers won a championship. Maybe. But in the real world that we live in, like the actual real world, if the Clippers were the 13th seed in the West, they wouldn't be getting national attention and coverage. You know who's the 13th seed in the West? The Lakers. And yeah, I know LeBron James is the face of the NBA, but it's like that all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
No, I mean, first of all, people don't like Kawhi Leonard. They just don't. I'm not saying personally, like person to person. I'm saying for a superstar basketball player.
Yeah.
He's not in the media. There's no like ability to really kind of connect with him or follow him. He does like the New Balance commercials, like that's about it. Yeah. He's like funny, but like, is he though? It's kind of like laughing, not necessarily with him, but almost at him sometimes. He doesn't play that much, and I'm not like rooting for the Clippers to win. I mean, it's like a boring championship. Could they win? Yeah. Is he sick? Of course. Is Paul George also probably a top 15 player? Both of them? Yeah. But it's gotten to a point where like I don't care about when they first joined forces. Like, oh my God, that was exciting. But it's 3 years later, we've barely seen these two dudes play. And so at this point, I'm like, I don't want them to win because they haven't really put forth the best basketball to win out there in their time together. And I don't care about them anymore. And does it mean maybe for a player to bring a championship to the Clippers, their first one? Yeah. Is that more exciting? Sure. I can get that narrative. But from a basketball universe standpoint, from media, from fans, like, we do not care if you get who are the top 10 teams you want to see win a title. I mean, the Clippers do not even sniff that list.
No, not at all. Not close.
No.
And I think that this is a really unique year in that it's not just 4 teams we're looking at that could win a title. I think on paper, the East is really strong. The Celtics and Bucks. And then the Sixers, if they get hot and everything goes right and they got their full deep rotation, sure, you can look at them. In the West, I mean, yeah, the Suns are the favorite on paper now, but there's a lot of teams that you could see theoretically making that push. Memphis, maybe. Denver, don't want to count them out. Do the Warriors have a miracle run in them?
Sure.
They still got the best 5-man lineup. And I guess that's my question for you is, who do you see making a late push, whether that's just to get into the playoffs like a Lakers or to possibly go all the way or really break a playoff bracket like the Heat?
Okay, yeah, great. Because I was going to throw the Heat in there.
Yeah.
So the Heat are going to get hot, and they have been getting hot. So they have Jimmy, they have Bam, they have Harrow. They have a 3.
Yeah.
Plus other guys on their, and Spoelstra's an unbelievable coach. He's been there. He's won.
And consistent defense does matter in a long run of a playoffs.
Cannot count the Heat out. The Cavs and the Knicks don't have the guy. Yeah. But I could see them sending someone to 6 or 7 games and giving them a really tough time in the first round.
Yeah.
The Cavs are young. They have Spider. They have Garland, who's not young, but Mobley's still, to me, like a year away from taking that next step of, hey, is he like a defensive player of the year like Jaren Jackson Jr.?
Yeah.
Or is he like, not be dominant, but is he like taking that next step offensively to really be an absolute threat? If that was the case, I would throw the Cavs in the mix with those 3 teams. I would say, yeah, if Cleveland's a home seed, if they're the 4, right, and they have like the Knicks the 5, I mean, they can make it to the second round and they can give someone a lot of, and then you talk about longevity, right? You want to get to obviously, and this is just not a hot take at all, this is just common sense. You want to get to the finals in as few games as possible.
Yeah. 100%.
So if you're the Cavs and, if you're the Cavs, like, and you're the Knicks could take you far. That could go 7 games. The Heat can go 7 games, the Cavs, and like whoever has home court. And then inversely, though, the Cavs can take the Celtics deep.
Yeah.
Which is like annoying because you're the Celtics, like, all right, you're the 1 seed. Like you want to, whoever's the 4 or 5, you would, try to make quick work of them, which maybe, hey, look, they made quick work of the Nets last year. You want it, but they went to 7 games, the Bucks. You hope that, the Bucks and Sixers cannibalize themselves, but you don't want to go as many games as them. And like that Cleveland's a good enough team where I'm not saying they're going to upset them, but they could take you deep if you're the Celtics. But the East to me is like, hey, it's the Sixers, it's the Bucks, and it's the Celtics. Like those are the three teams. If it is anybody other than those three teams in the finals, I'm going to be a little surprised.
I'd be pretty surprised too on the futures betting front, which we'll get to in a second. I also think that what you just alluded to is, aside from the fact that the Raptors had to go through LeBron, all those DeRozan, Lowry, Raptors teams, that was their biggest obstacle to overcome, is that in the first round, they were having 6-7 game series. They were always losing that first home game of the first round, and they were having long series, long playoff journeys. So, yeah, I think LeBron would have taken them down no matter what, probably in the end. But the fact that by the time you get there, you're already a little bit gassed, that takes it out of you. So,
no, yeah, 100%. You're playing tight series. Like, it's long. Like by the time the Celtics got to the Warriors, and not to say the Warriors, like the Warriors, yeah, they played the Grizzlies, but like Ja was out, like, you know, and I just think Warriors would ultimately won. But the Celtics had a grueling series, you know, back-to-back grueling series. And yes, Middleton was out, but it's like to beat Giannis, he's the best player on the court every time.
Yeah. Celtics went 18 games to the finals, sweep 7-7, and the Warriors went 5-6-5.
Yeah.
So, but a lot less stressful series. You had two really emotionally taxing series back-to-back. If you're Boston.
I mean, in Boston, like, think about it also, if you're like the Warriors, how many times have they been there? Every time, you know, the Celtics, you haven't been able to get over that hump. This wasn't Tatum and Brown's first rodeo in the conference finals.
No,
they've been there a couple times. So, yeah, I think those are the teams. And you go to the West, it's like, hey, like, can the Lakers go on a run? Yeah, if everyone's healthy, for sure. Like they made some, I don't know, they fleeced some teams. Like, I don't know, like there's got to be something going on behind the scenes. Like, all right, we need LeBron and the Lakers to be good. I mean, you all know that, so let's just kind of like the Rui deal was ridiculous.
I was really shocked at that one. Also, like it wasn't a last minute trade deadline freak impulsive deal. It was a week and a half before.
I mean, they're just a weird team. The Wizards, they're probably like the most irrelevant team in the NBA. They just love like forwards.
Yeah,
they just love like wing players. Denny, Kuzma, Rui, like I'm probably Kispert, like these guys. Like there's like 9 of those guys, like that are just like, you know, 6'8" to 6'7" to 6'9", like kind of guys on their roster. But I mean, Sacramento, I'd probably throw in the Cavs category. Give you a really tough time.
Yeah,
but like Dallas now, all of a sudden, Phoenix, Denver, like the Lakers are saying can make a run. Memphis is. I don't know if I'm going to throw. Memphis is probably the Celtics 2 years ago.
Yeah.
They could like also really give you a huge fit if the Pelicans are healthy. Like if the Pelicans are at full health and they have like a head of steam going into the playoffs, they can contend with anybody.
Totally.
They were my pick to win the West. Like I thought they were going to win the West if everyone was healthy.
I had them finishing 4th in the West preseason, and they were 2nd at one point.
Yeah.
They had massive slide.
Rolling.
But
yeah, when they're playing healthy. Yeah.
So yeah, well, let's talk about some futures bets because got a little bit of a betting element, and I know that this is something the Charity Stripe has discussed. We'll start with the biggest award, the MVP. Right now, Jokic is at the top of the Kia MVP ladder that comes out every week. Going into the season, I hated the bet because we've seen so many back-to-back MVPs since 2000, right? We saw LeBron twice back-to-back with D-Rose in the middle. Steve Nash, Steph Curry, Giannis, and now Jokic. But it's always like that standard changes going into year 3. But here's the thing. It's like Jokic is having a better season statistically, averaging a triple-double, and he's winning more games. Denver's at the top of the West. They got the best record at home. So do you feel like it's time to start throwing money at this one?
Yeah, well, now I think the time has passed. Now it's minus money. You could. I mean, you better get it before it hits minus like 200. Like, you can't throw money on Rookie of the Year anymore. It's over.
Mm-hmm.
That award's done.
Yeah.
You probably, your best bet if you want to win some cash is probably, you know, the 6-man.
Yeah.
You have Malcolm Brogdon, like you get Russ and Norman Powell on the same team. So they both can't win it.
Yeah.
So that'll their chance. They may want to give it to Russ because, like, you know, like pump him back up. And I love Russell Westbrook. But you have Malcolm Brogdon at plus money right now. So you probably want to. But what? JJJ is minus money for DPOI, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Lowry is minus on most improved.
Okay. Marketing, minus he'll win that for sure. He was an all-star.
Yeah. Do you think Shea can catch him in any regard?
No, Shea was sick last year.
Yeah.
Marketing was moved. You take him. Sexton and Marketing, enjoy.
Yeah.
Sexton was probably the picks. It's probably Markkinen's not the guy in this trade.
No.
He wasn't the guy in the Jimmy Butler trade either when he was first, moved to Chicago.
Yeah.
I don't even remember who was he moved for Drummond?
I think.
He was moved for Cal and a bunch of Magic Beans in the Cleveland deal. So yeah, Lowry is definitely my pick for most improved. And for MVP, I would say if I'm throwing money on it, I would probably throw money on Embiid. Because you have the odds. I'm not throwing my house on it because I don't think he's going to win. And I think it is going to be Jokic. But if the Sixers get hot and they're the ones that go on the run, the biggest run, and they win the East, you're right. There's the trend. They want to spread the wealth a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason, we've seen LeBron, we've seen Kobe, we've seen MJ, we've seen Giannis, we've seen Steph, we've seen all these unbelievable players. And LeBron did back-to-back twice. We've seen all these, generational Mount Rushmore-esque talents. But yet the last time there was a three-peat was, when our parents were in college.
Yeah.
So, it's been decades. They don't love doing that, clearly. So I think your best bet, I think Kyrie helps Luka's chances to win. I think it hurts his chances to win the MVP.
Agreed.
His usage is going to go down just, by laws of attrition. I would say Embiid, Giannis, and Tatum. I would throw, if you're looking to cash out, maybe $100, $200 on each of those, depending what your units are. If you're looking to swing big, you're not going to win the money with Jokic.
No.
So it's a lose-lose. He's either going to lock it in or you're going to throw on it right now when it's its lowest value at minus money. You could wait for Jokic. You could wait for one of these guys to start to catch him and I hope still edges out the West when he goes back to plus money, throw it on him and try to get the reverse movement. But right now, I want to throw in Jokic or throw in one of the East guys, with the prayer that one of their teams gets hot.
Jokic trying to be the first to three-peat since Bird in 86. So yeah, literally when my parents were in college, just ridiculous. We talked about Rookie of the Year. I agree. It's over. I think we saw when LaMelo Ball won Rookie of the Year, he got injured and Anthony Edwards still didn't catch him despite the season he had. Shout out to Matherin though. I think he's been a really fun player for the Pacers.
That was Toss's pick.
Okay. I like that.
We weren't allowed to pick Boncaro.
Oh, yeah.
We had to pick who did I take?
You like Keegan?
No, I actually was anti-Keegan. I was I was wrong on him.
Okay.
He's just such a good shooter. I didn't anticipate him being this hot. He's just a great shooter, great scorer.
Yeah. I think he also never talks, which is funny. It's
great for Sacramento.
Yeah. Perfect for Sacramento. Kawhi Leonard, young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of who I had as my Rookie of the Year pick. It'll come to me. Maybe it was Jaden. Maybe
Jaden.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I think the three I liked or the two I liked, I had Keegan and Paolo, but
yeah,
Paolo's, it's not a cool and trendy pick, but it ended up being the right one.
No, yeah, exactly. Hey man, it's a slice of pizza. Just because he's everywhere doesn't mean it's bad.
We said on Most Improved, Lowry went from completely irrelevant into starting in the All-Star game. Now, granted, it was a replacement, but still ridiculous jump he made. SGA was good and was shut down from the season. I think I said he was the best breakout player in the league just because of his ascension into those heights, even though Markkanen made a bigger jump because he started at a way lower bar. Jalen Brunson is not going to win the award. He's at plus 1,700, but I just want to say, I'm so proud of him as a neutral fan. He went from this great college player, but not NBA prospect type of guy to an early second round pick. And now is being just a complete overachiever, having 40-point games here and there on the Knicks. I know everyone wanted Donovan Mitchell, and they're not wrong for it.
Well, you could have had both.
You could have had both. And that would be an awesome team right now.
That would be a team that's in that upper echelon.
Yeah.
But the Jalen Brunson thing is, it's one of those, so we bring up Malcolm Brogdon. he was just a guy that was really good in college, a 4-year player that got overlooked because the size, the speed, it wasn't what you want in the NBA. But the guy's game is pretty, straightforward, mistake-free, high floor.
Yeah.
And he could score. He's got great court vision. And that's what he had time to, work with Luka, which I know he's older, but that definitely helps.
Yeah.
And mature in Dallas. And now I think many people thought it was a hefty signing for a guy who never made an All-Star game, and he probably should have made one this year. But he's just a true point guard in the NBA. He's definitely a top 10 point guard in the NBA. And he's been a major catalyst of revitalizing this Knicks team and revitalizing Julius Randle.
Julius Randle, I know, can be so polarizing for Knicks fans, but when he's on, super fun to watch.
Yeah, splits stink sometimes, but you know what? He also, in fairness to him, he's not the guy that should have the ball in his hands. The offense shouldn't be starting with Julius Randle, and that's why having Brunson's so huge for the Knicks. And I see Halliburton on your list. I'm not surprised by him. Speaking of the Knicks, no offense to Obi Toppin, they should have taken Halliburton. That just killed their franchise in the last decade more than anything.
Yeah, and I think what's ironic about Halliburton is his injury probably took him out of contention for winning Most Improved, but that also coincided with when the Pacers started to really slide, just sort of proving his value a little bit more. I mean,
he's the guy I said that I felt he could be an MVP candidate someday.
He is pretty awesome.
It's unbelievable.
My Sacramento Kings fans were friends. Were very disappointed with the trade at the time. I mean, it worked out okay.
Win-win for both teams.
Yeah, it was a win-win. But he is very awesome. I do want to round things out.
Yeah.
Talking with some coach of the year, because sometimes this can be a really boring award in the NBA and one I don't care much about. There are a few really good names as far as I'm concerned, and then I want to hear your thoughts. I would say it's a 2-person race for me, and the fact that I'm not even going to say Mike Brown is one of the names is insane to me because of what he's done to the Kings. But I really like Jacques Vaughn and Joe Mazzulla. So I'll start with Jacques Vaughn. I kind of feel like there's a Mike Tomlin comparison here with obviously a lot younger and lesser experience, but Mike Tomlin has dealt with so much crap with the Steelers, just in terms of personalities and egos. I know he had talent.
Who, like AB?
Le'Veon Bell, Big Ben.
Those guys are chill guys. No issues, right?
Yeah.
God, what a gauntlet. Talk about that. Disaster.
And then this year, everyone's like, okay, this is the season that they're going to go under 500 because his roster stinks and no one's going to fault him for it. And he's playing a rookie QB. And somehow this guy wins his last 4 or 5 games, goes 9-8. Unreal. So with Jacques Vaughn, it's like the Nets were completely the biggest mess in the league. Steve Nash left after 5 games or something. It was over. He all of a sudden got them playing defense and managing all this non-basketball stuff as well. Like, all these coaches can manage basketball, but managing the non-basketball with all the Kyrie stuff and social media got everyone under control. KD was just doing his thing. They were playing defense. I mean, I know they're kind of out of contention now, but with what he did to turn it around, I got a ton of respect for.
But they got some guys.
They got guys, but they had guys when they had Steve Nash, and it was completely plummeting in the opposite direction.
I mean, he couldn't handle it. He couldn't handle the off the court.
Right.
He had no chance. He didn't have a prayer.
My second guy is Joe Mazzulla, and I just want to say that I hope it sets a tone for GMs and owners across all sports, because this is a guy who was 34 at the time of making this last-minute coaching change. He only had small coaching roles. He coached D2, then was an assistant on the Celtics staff. He was a trusted guy and has just made the most of his opportunity. This wasn't a nepotism hire. It's not like a guy who was just handed a great privilege. He really worked his way up, and he has completely kicked ass in this role. The Celtics, yes, I know they're a very talented team, and they were on the brink of a championship last year, but it's not easy managing a young group of guys, even if you have Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown and Marcus Smart. So for what he's done, I mean, Ime Udoka had a long future with this team, and all of a sudden that's just gone because of the job that Joe Mazzulla has done. I can't say that with certainty if this turned into a disaster. He has been the ultimate professional in a crazy last-minute situation.
You brought up the horns before we got on. Like, both my teams, I'm a Celtics fan. So both my teams one coach couldn't keep it in his pants and one coach couldn't keep his hands to himself. So both these guys made really dumb decisions.
Yeah.
Really, both these guys get their dream. Like, is there a better job really in the NBA to coach than the Celtics right now? Probably not. Maybe like, the Warriors, it's probably the best job you could have. Texas, like, it's a dream job for anybody. And both these guys make really boneheaded, selfish decisions and almost throw their teams into turmoil. But like I was telling you, Horns really don't miss a beat. All the games we've lost are games we probably could have lost on paper. Maybe not the Tech one at home, but it's still a tough place to play. The Celtics haven't missed a beat. They've not missed a beat. And so your ability to maintain and, remedy the storm and have this team not look back or keep the blinders on and full steam ahead going for the championship that eluded them last year. I think it's no question Joe Mazzulla.
Yeah, and for the record, I have
Mike Malone's a good pick too.
Mike Malone is a good pick, and I have nothing negative to say regarding Mike Brown. It's one of those, in many other years, he's the clear and obvious guy, but there were circumstances this year across the league that has just really made me impressed with the two guys I just mentioned. Mazzulla would be my pick as well.
Yeah, awesome.
100%. Well, right now, Mike Brown and Mazzulla are at plus 200 each, and then you got Mike Malone next, 325, and then Taylor Jenkins, 500.
He's awesome.
Jock Vaughn, 600.
Jenkins is great.
Jenkins is great. I have nothing negative to say about him.
He might be the best coach.
He's pretty awesome.
The
Grizzlies were in rebuild mode, and then they have been overachievers. Like, they went into contention too early almost.
They're still in contention. Like, he's a great X's and O's guy. Like, JJJ's been hurt. Jaw's been hurt. Desmond's been like, talk about a guy that's like, weathered the storm from the injury bug. Like, he's up there with the best of them, and is he's taking guys and he just elevates players' games.
Yeah.
Or puts them in a position to elevate their games at least.
We got a lot of good basketball to come for the rest of the season, but Josh, thank you for the last minute change.
Got you, bro.
Cheers, man. Good luck, and check all of his content out on the Charity Stripe. Like I said, social media, you get like these great daily polls that it's just the best way to pass time. I have no other way to say it.
Hey, we all need toilet time. I got you guys. Man of the people.
I wasn't going to say it, but he did.
Thank you. Yeah,
man. So I got to make this happen in person in Bleav, but for all the other episodes of Screaming from the Sidelines, check it out right here on the Bleav Network. And as always, keep screaming, man.
Yeah. Appreciate you, brother.